Hello, my fellow apprentice. I'm Ken. Welcome back to the studio, and we have a thrifty review today. We are going to be taking a look at AEM Hi Arts 24 tube watercolor set. I want to send a really big shout out to Miss Rachel Namoff and the artistry team over at AEM Hi Arts for gifting the studio with this watercolor set in order to try out and have fun and just paint with. And that's exactly what I have done. So thank you so much. However, with that being said, that has nothing to do with the honest review and the opinion, or my opinion, should I say, that I'm about to give on this set. So I won't get into the packaging too much because I did do that in the unboxing video. If you guys missed that, I will link into the description below. If you would like to, you can head on over and watch the unboxing video after you check this one out if you like. So, AEM Hi Arts 24 paint watercolors, 3 brushes, 1 palette, and 20 sheets of A5 watercolor paper. Let's jump right on into looking at the tubes. 24 standardly packaged tubes. These were, I think they're really nice. I love the color, the coloration they got on the packaging of the tubes. And the paint came out of the tubes in a really nice consistency. None of them separated from the binder. As I told you in the unboxing video, there is no light, fast, or pigment information for the paints that was included. When the package arrived, I did reach out to the artistry team over at AEM Hi in order to try to obtain that information. But I do think that there is like maybe a blockage in communication. And because of that, I still have not been able to get that information. So if I am updated with that information, I will definitely update the description section of this video so that you guys will know the pigment numbers and the light fast ratings if there is any available. If not, that's fine as well. Because of such, I have gone ahead and placed these paints into, well, initially I placed these paints into the budget grade category, but we'll hold off on that for a second. So the watercolor paper that was included in the box, 8.3 by 5.9. It has a little grayish tone to it. If I had to put it in pounds, I would say it was about 85-pound sheet. It holds up the water pretty well. I did test this paper out in the tutorial video that went up on the channel, so we will be talking about the paper as well. The 3 brushes that were included in the set actually are pretty nice brushes, I must admit. I have used 2 of them extensively. In the flat one, I've used so much that I've stained the bristles, but that's okay. Honestly, I will say I like the brushes. The brushes are really nice, and if they sold the brushes in separate sets from the paints, I would probably actually invest in more of them. So I did like the brushes, I will admit that. And again, there was a palette included, which I have not used, but that's neither here nor there. So the very first thing I did when I got the paints was to put them into a palette in order to dry them down, because that's the way I normally paint. So here we have it here. Be warned, it is dirty because I have used these paints extensively in order to do this review. After drying the paints down, I gave them about 48 hours. 2 things I noticed off the bat. 1, they did not crack. Well, none other than the white. The white did crack a little bit. And 2, I spritzed them with a couple of spritzes of water, and they reactivated quickly. So I kind of got excited. I was like, okay, this off the bat, really good signs. So I went ahead and swatched the paints out. So we'll go through this piece by piece because I really want you guys to understand my experience with these paints. So the first thing I did was to swatch them out in their normal consistency, and then water them down on the bottom here, and so that I could see what the lighter washes look like. So I was like, okay, this is good. I like the colors. I like the vibrancy. I like the consistencies of the paints. And again, this is after they've been dried down. I will say that this paper is B 100% cotton, 140-pound paper. So I was kind of giving them off the bat the greatest chance by putting them on this paper. And then I did use them on some other papers, which we'll look at. So the very first thing I did was to take the paints and use them in a really small water ratio to see if I could use them in stamping, because I was about to work on a stamping project. So I was like, okay. I stamped it down a couple of times. The paints hold well. They didn't like cake up or have a weird consistency to them. Now you can see from there, they have a granulation to them. And at first I wasn't sure if that was purposely done or if it was because there was fillers to stretch the pigments. So I was like, okay, let's just go ahead and paint with them and see what happens. So I did this project where I made a little shaker card here, and the window, the designs in the back were done with the AEM Hi paints. I was like, the colors were really rich and vibrant, and you can actually see them through the window with little effort. I was okay, maybe these are going to be really well. So I decided to do a tutorial that I saw on YouTube. You can guess as to who it was I was following. Shouts out to Lindsay. But I wanted to kind of see how the paints would perform as far as painting a landscape was concerned. This is Master's Touch. Now, watercolor paper. I am not the greatest fan, I've discovered, of the paper, but the paints did still perform, I think, okay on the paper. I wasn't able to get the depth and richness and color that I wanted. However, I didn't really do a lot of layering. This was just initially to see how the paints would perform themselves. It was okay. I mean, wasn't the best painting I've ever done by any stretch of the imagination, but I had fun and I was getting to see how the paints worked. So then the next thing I decided to do was to test the opacity of the paints. And I put down black alcohol marker here. And then I just kind of swatched the paints in their normal consistency on top just to see how opaque or transparent they will be. And as you can see here, there is a little granulation left on top of the line with some of them, not all of them. The white was pretty opaque, I thought. I'm sorry, can you see? I don't know if you guys can see that. See it better here. The white was pretty opaque and it kind of had a eggshellish tone to it, I guess. So then I said, okay, well now let's try it on a different type of paper. And I pulled out a sheet of Artist Loft 140-pound watercolor paper by Michaels and decided to do this rose. Now, for some reason, these paints and this paper did not agree in any shape, form, or fashion. No matter how much I layered, no matter what I did, I just couldn't. I felt like it was a failing paint, and I wanted to throw it away. Then I decided, no, that's not something that you do. You don't give up. So I reached for my set of Faber-Castell Gold Faber colored pencils, and then just kind of took those pencils to liven the painting up. So it turned out nice. I actually liked it after taking the pencils to it. Now, the pencils layered on top of the watercolor really well. I think the watercolors added to the richness of the pencil. It kind of gave me an underpainting, so to speak, to work from. And in that aspect, I'll say I think the paints are great. I love them in that whole underpainting aspect and idea. So then I decided to do a little color mixing. And then I glazed. I wanted to see if the paints would lift, how much layering I could actually get from them without them, me being able to see the white of the paper because they were lifting up. The colors mixed pretty nicely. I was able to get a couple of different colors that wasn't included in the set. Although, let me say this. I think that for a set that's priced how it is, which we'll talk about in a minute, these turned out to be really nice. I mean, there's a wide range of colors in this set. that you wouldn't have to do a lot of mixing with. There's a lot of pre-mixed colors here that aren't fake looking, so to speak. However, I was able to mix and get colors that wasn't included, which lets me know that the paints could be pushed beyond the colors that are included into the different ranges that they come, that you can make from, or I'm sorry, what am I trying to say here? The different shades that you can make from a color. And I was also able to get a lighter and a darker color of gray, which isn't included. So I was pretty happy with that. So the next thing I did was to do a landscape, a little small landscape painting on Canson 140-pound XL watercolor paper. And if you see what I'm doing here is I'm testing the paints on different grades and qualities of paper made by different companies in order to see if all around they were a good performing paint. Now, we do know that the grade of paper can make a big difference in how your painting comes out. And I'll just be honest, Master's Touch by Hobby Lobby and Artist Loft by Michaels are okay economical painting papers, but if you can spend a few extra bucks to start off with like Canson or the 400 series of Strathmore, that would be my suggestion. Start off there. But the painting turned out pretty well on the Canson. I think, let you guys see that a little bit more. I was able to use them really heavily here in order to do the horizon. I kind of painted this little road, and I mixed them with Master's Touch fine liner water-based markers, so they mix well with other water media, and I like that. I like that a lot. And I was able to kind of pull darker shades from that line to go with the watercolor paints. So it started to get better for me after I got to the Canson paper. I was like, these paints are performing well. I might not have light, fast, or pigment information, but they do not seem to be in the same category as I was initially putting them, not as far as the quality of what the paints were giving me. So then I decided I would go ahead and do a final painting form, or what I thought would be a final painting form, on the B paper, which is what I initially swatched them on, because it's the best paper that I have in my studio at the moment. And I think the paints kind of showed out. I really like the way they mix with this paper. I don't know if it's the paper enhancing the paints or the paints enhancing the paper, or if it's a combination of the both of them, but I really like the effect that they gave me on this paper and the outcome of this painting. And I thought to myself, okay, so I think I'm ranking these a little bit higher than some other things you guys heard me say previously in reviews. And we're going to get to the comparison momentarily. Lastly, I did a tutorial, a quick watercolor painting tutorial, which went up on the channel with the paints in order to do a final field test for them. And that was this painting. Now, I decided to do that field test on the paper that was included in the box, the pad that came in the box. Okay, so shout outs to AEM Hi Arts for the products that they have, but I don't like the paper. I don't think the paper enhanced the paints at all. Actually, I think the paper took from the paints and just kind of gave me a much more dulled down, unvibrant look after the paints dried. As far as being able to do the tutorial and just kind of show the technique, I was able to use the paints, and at the moment, especially being wet, they showed up well on this paper, but once it dried down, I was not very happy with the outcome, and I have no doubt in my mind that it was the paper, especially after being able to see this done with the paints on the B paper. So I would not necessarily use the paper, but I would definitely use the paints. These paints, they impressed me. I haven't seen many reviews or any other reviews, if the truth be told, on YouTube about the AEM Hi Arts watercolor set. I would really be interested in knowing or seeing them produce, should I say, not knowing, but seeing them produce, because I've gone to their website and I haven't seen anything other than maybe the watercolor set. And I think they may have acrylic. I cannot remember. I'm not really sure, but I'm definitely sure about this watercolor set being there, which you can purchase on Amazon. But I would really love to see them produce other products because I would be interested in seeing how they performed. I did see an advertisement for what I thought was water-based markers, but I was not able to find them available for purchase anywhere. So I would be interested in knowing if I could actually get my hands on those to try them out. I would be interested in seeing them actually produce pan paints. That would be something I want to test out as well. I would even want to see them produce watercolor pencils, because you guys know I'm a watercolor pencil freak. After looking at these paints and playing with them and seeing how they perform on this paper especially, I would love to see how watercolor pencils and from them performed on this paper. So I have been given great thought as to how to compare the paints to other things that we've reviewed on the channel. I've been a bit conflicted, I must say, because I actually kind of like the paints better than a lot of other ones that I've used. But okay, so there I go hitting the tripod. You guys know that is my signature thing. Here we go, Royal and Lang nickel. I really can't even compare any of these to them because I think they beat them all. You guys know that my top one in this category is the Reeves watercolor. So I'm just gonna skip past all the others because I think that this would be the one that I had to compare it to. And I don't know. I like AEM Hi better, I think. I have to say, I do. I like AEM. They don't give me as chalky of a feel necessarily, not that Reeves really does, but they seem to be a thicker paint and better for layering. And I'm so conflicted about saying it because I love Reeves so much, but I honestly have to say in this particular category with Reeves would have to fall to second to AEM Hi in my opinion. And this is just my opinion now, but I did like them more so then the Reeves. And if we're gonna look at move them up a category and look at them in comparison to the two that we've reviewed in the Academy, being Grumbacher and Winsor and Newton Cotman. Now we get into a bit of a different story here simply because I think they kind of remind me of Cotman a little bit. I don't know. What do you guys think? They kind of, yeah, I don't know. I'm just real conflicted by that. They remind me of Cotman. Let me see if I can pull that out right quick and just let you guys see that. That's pretty amazing there. I think that the Siennas are a little different. The Sienna and the AEM Hi is a little bit deeper. But yeah, I kind of put them on the same level there. I kind of like the way both of them perform. I would reach for either or. I mean, I don't think they're better than Grumbacher Academy, of course, because as you guys know right now, this is the #1 paint so far that we've reviewed on the channel that I like. And I really like painting with these. They're nice. But yeah, they're just a little bit richer and more pigmented than even AEM Hi, but I love AEM Hi. Let's talk really quick about getting these paints. You can purchase them on Amazon. The whole 24 watercolor tube set along with the paper, the 3 brushes, and the palette in this beautiful box for $21.99. That's pretty amazing pricing considering how I think the paints actually perform. Now, I don't really suggest that people run out and buy anything because I like them. I just like to offer these videos to you guys so that you can have the information, so that if you decide you want to add them to your your art media, that you can have this information to try to make a more informed decision. But I personally would buy them, and I would personally buy them as a gift for someone else, more so than I would any of the other brands that we've reviewed, considering that in the economical department anyway, considering that they're only $21.99, you get 24 tubes of watercolor, you get some paper, you get 3 brushes that I think perform really well. Yes, I think I would definitely recommend these paints. It has nothing to do with them sending them to me. You guys got to see the proof for yourself. And of course, I did go ahead and put the tutorial video that was shot in a picture-in-picture in the corner. I'm sure you guys have been watching that or kind of glancing up at that the whole time we've been reviewing this. So I definitely recommend the paints. So yeah, guys, there you have it. If you liked any of the information that you heard in this video, you found it helpful or useful, please go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Guys, use the comment section. I would love to hear from you. I mean, I don't get much feedback on my videos, so I don't know if they're really interesting to people. If this is something that I'm not going to say wasting my time doing, because I actually like doing it, but I really would love to know if people like seeing it. So, go ahead, leave some comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the tutorials, the reviews, whether this is something you're interested in. If you've tried these paints, I'd love to hear what you think about them. That would be nice. Don't forget to share the video. Remember that sharing is caring, and it helps to grow the channel. You can head on over to the Thrifty Apprentice Facebook page and like us there, where you can keep up with things that go on both on and off camera. We also have Instagram now. So yeah, guys, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here in the studio, and we'll see you again next time.